It's working. Hello there, everyone. If you're just joining us, welcome to today's Savvy Business Show. We are just going to do a quick little sound check for you guys. I just want to make sure that we're definitely live in the right place. Oh, I'm getting a notification.
Welcome to today's Savvy Business Show.
I'm definitely speaking.
Do a quick little sound check for you guys.
Let's see whether Kristen can tell us whether she's also on. Kristen, just say something.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Facebook.
All right, we're going to just see whether we're on a slight delay if you're watching this. So just give us 1 second. Okay, perfect. So we are on, it seems, which I'm so excited about. So welcome again, everyone. I am so excited to have today's guest. I think, Kristen, how long have we known each other now? I was trying to figure that out right before we started.
I think like 6 years, maybe?
I know, yeah. So Kristen knows me from when I started my Pilates business and then transitioned into coaching. And she actually helped me a lot with my marketing in the beginning, which was very helpful for me. But today, so back then Kristen was running KD Media and she was a marketing expert and guru, and today she has completely pivoted into the health coaching sphere, and she now runs a very successful health coaching practice called Thrive by Food, which she has built up in record amounts of time. So, and I've got to, that's why I wanted to speak to her today, because I do think that Kristen's amazing background in marketing has just made this transition so much easier. So I'm excited to share all of the little nuggets that we can get out of Kristen today with you guys. But Kristen, over to you, because I know there is so much more that you do and that you're qualified in. And like, true story, I didn't want to announce Kristen's biography because there are a lot of words that I'm like, I don't know what that is. So I wanted her to rather just explain to us exactly what she does so that there's no confusion. Kristen.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here. So I am a health coach focused on helping women with digestive health and hormone health imbalances who have tried a lot of things already, like fixing their diet or changing some lifestyle things, and they still don't feel well and they don't know why, and they're just so motivated to get to the bottom of it. So I am certified to be a holistic health coach and also what's called a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, which is a huge mouthful, but basically it means that I'm trained to get to the root of what's going on with someone's health challenges by way of running functional lab tests, which are tests that are about 20 years ahead of their time technology-wise than what conventional medicine is running, looking at how to really rebalance the body at a cellular layer, really kind of customize a diet and look beyond just general advice and really customize what somebody is doing. So I work with women who really just have been kind of going through this stuff for the greater part of their life and are just so fed up with it and want to finally feel better, and we do that work and make that happen.
I love that. And so what I specifically love, and I think this is important for everyone who is looking for a coach of any kind, normally if you can find someone who has actually gone through what you've gone through, it really just helps on such an amazing level, because as coaches, we have co-creative relationships, meaning that yes, the coach may have some expertise and some more experience and etc., but when we come into a relationship with you, we really are like your equal. And so if you can find someone who has had the experience that you are currently experiencing and has been able to overcome it, then you're just going to be so much better off, because that person will really understand you on a way deeper level, which is so important. So speaking about deeper levels, Kristen, I want to know, when you made that shift in your business, right? Like to go from being in marketing to, okay, now I'm going to transition to Thrive by Food and working more in the health sphere. What was the mindset and spiritual journeys that you went through that helped you to kind of go at it quicker? Because I hear a lot of my clients go, oh, I can't do that because it's going to take me X amount of years, or I can't do that because I don't have a degree in it, or I'm not good enough, blah, blah, blah. All sorts of stories that they tell themselves.
Yeah.
How did you manage this? How did you navigate it? What were some of the pivotal moments?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned a minute ago, this really was kind of sparked by my own health challenges. And I think at the time when I was kind of going through my health challenges, I was also reevaluating my career. And I just knew that it wasn't the right fit for me at the time. I was running my marketing business, which I do still run today, but at a much smaller capacity. And I was working at the time with a functional practitioner like myself and was, still really sick, and we were starting to make some big moves with my health and running these awesome tests and making these like really custom diet tweaks, like looking beyond things like paleo or keto or Whole30 and like actually customizing a diet, putting me on these really cool supplements, like trying different lifestyle things. And I loved it. And I saw how fast my body was changing. And I thought, wow, I want to help other people figure this out. And I just felt like a deep fire inside of me that like, this is it. Like I felt excitement in me that I hadn't felt in a while. And I just like latched onto that. I was like, this feels good. I can't let this go. And so I, asked my coach, what did you do, to sort of get to this point? Like what certifications, what schools did you go to, all this stuff. And, she told me what she did. And then I looked at a couple of other coaches in the space, and they had a very similar path in terms of the education they got. And I realized that, these schools, I could do them while I was still running my marketing business. And so I decided that like I couldn't invest in the school and completely quit my job and like do this for 6 to 12 months without any income. So I realized that I could kind of have best of both worlds, where I would still be bringing in income from Katie Media, my marketing firm, while I was studying and starting to think about what this health coaching business is going to be like. So it was kind of a nice transition. And as I went through that school, I started to just get more and more ideas in terms of what I wanted to focus on and what I wanted the business to be and all of that stuff. So I really just kind of, followed what felt fun to me and what felt like it would really be deeply meaningful.
And I remember you actually coming to speak to me about that too. And you were like, how did you do it? What I love that Kristen just said there is like, note that she just followed the fun. She just followed the excitement. She didn't have it figured out. Like, I don't think in a million years you'd be thinking this was what I was going to be coaching on. I think you were in one of my mastermind groups when you posted about the fact that you had it's UC, right? Mm-hmm. And how that post went viral, that became a leading indicator of like, this is what I really should be focusing on. And so I think it's important for our listeners to really, again, just hammer this in, that you do not get there by just thinking about it the whole time. You have to take action, and following your heart, following your gut, your excitement. That is what led Kristen to where she is today, which is just so amazing to hear. So now, like, what is your spiritual journey like? Like, what do you do on a daily basis to kind of keep you in the groove?
Yeah. So this has been like, it's still something I'm actively working on, like solidifying and putting it in place. But I felt like when I first started my business, I was having trouble finding alignment with what were the right things to be focused on when. And this year I just realized that I was so fed up with that sort of cognitive dissonance, I guess you could call it. And I picked up a meditation routine. And this is something I'd wanted to do for years. And I just like didn't understand how to really put it in practice and how it could help me like both physically, mentally, and also with my business. But I finally learned how to do it. And now, every morning when I wake up, I meditate, and I just kind of clear my mind, and then whatever sort of bubbles to the top of my mind that feels most important or fun or valuable, that's, what I tend to focus my day on. And anytime that I have like a big business decision, or, I'm thinking about a new strategy or something like that, I always meditate on it. Even just taking 5 to 10 minutes is just really helpful to kind of calm down all the thoughts that are buzzing around in my mind and all the worries and doubts and fears and all that stuff that just naturally comes up. And I just kind of bring that calm and peace. And then usually the answer tends to come up. So I've gotten really into that and just kind of looking inwards versus like, I just stopped Googling things like, how should I set my pricing, or how should I do this and that? Like, I've just stopped Googling that stuff because it never worked out for me. So I've realized and started to trust myself that I do have that answer, and I just need to kind of come back to that.
I just love what you just said there, because I am actually currently busy recording, and if you are waiting for that announcement today, here it comes. I'm going to just give it to you here. I just started a podcast, right? And one of my things that I'm going to be discussing on there is this whole thing about following someone else's blueprint and the steps that they tell you to do, and like, here's my plug and play to get you to where you want to be. Those things don't work, because what ends up happening is you actually take yourself out of your alignment, like Kristen just said, out of your gut, and you start to follow someone else's rules. And we are entrepreneurs, guys. We do not follow rules. That is like what an entrepreneur does. We disrupt the market. We follow our own gut. And I'm so glad to hear that you have a meditation practice, because I do believe that that is one of a key way for you to really sink back into you and who you are and what you want to create in this world. Mm-hmm. I know there are other things that you can do as well. Like some people like to just move their bodies, go for a walk, anything that gets you back into just centering and looking inward, as Kristen said. That's just so amazing. I just love that. So quick question, because you did this so quickly, and I'm always so impressed to just watch your business just basically, I'm going to say, use the word explode. Because you know, I think it was like 3 years ago or so that you actually came to me, like, you know, I'm going to make this transition. What's it going to look like, etc. And then all of a sudden you just went from, I'm going to say newbie in little quotation marks, to a real expert in your field. And like what you are preaching and what you're telling is so genuine. It's so authentic. You've got the credentials to back everything up. What was the mindset shift? Like, was there any like obstacles like while you were doing that where you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? And how did you shift yourself through that to kind of go, I'm just going to go?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. I guess part of all of this is that I've dealt with my own digestive health issues since I was in middle school. So I've lived a lot of this stuff for a long time, and I was going down the whole natural path about a year and a half before I even really thought about kind of going into a career in this. So I had already learned a lot about that, and about, like, I had really severe hormone imbalances too, starting at age 23, probably even before then, kind of messed up through birth control. So I kind of like already sort of gotten the foundation of that stuff through my own personal experience. And then when I went into all my different schools and certifications for all of this, that kind of just put more of the pieces together in terms of like, here's actually what's going on. Here's, you know, what exactly you would use for these different, you know, health conditions and stuff. So it more so like kind of brought all of that together. So I felt like I just kind of needed that full education to tie in what I already knew and had experienced myself. And I posted something, I think it was on Instagram yesterday, that you can only go as far as your coach has gone. That was something you said earlier. And it's that, like, you know, I feel like I've just gone so far with my health, with like all the stuff that I've kind of gone through already, that I love learning about this stuff, because not only does it help me feel better, but it can help other people feel better. So I just love learning, because I know it's going to help everybody feel better. And because I have walked those steps and gone through it, I'm very confident in terms of like, here's how this stuff actually works, here's what's actually going on. So just by like putting it into practice and like really deeply resonating with it, has kind of helped me, I guess, elevate that level of education and expertise.
I love that. I love that. So it comes down to just trusting yourself, it sounds like, because you know that you've done the work, you've experienced it yourself, and then just going for it.
Yeah. And there's also, I mean, you know, obviously as an entrepreneur, you doubt yourself all the time, and, you know, you compare yourself to other people that are years ahead of you, and, you know, you're like, do I really know what I'm talking about because they just said something that I don't know? But it's like, and it's almost funny, because the more, like, I'm constantly in courses. Like, I'm in another digestion course right now, and I have a whole list on my whiteboard behind me of more that I need to do. And there's almost that aspect of like, you know, the more you learn, the more you feel like you don't know.
Yes.
But then, you know, you have to remind yourself that there is so much that you do know, and you have to focus on that, and that like life is all about learning, and there's so much time to learn. So I just stopped taking the pressure off of myself with like, you have to learn X, Y, and Z this year. Like, I have the whole rest of my life and the whole rest of my career to learn this stuff, and I know exactly what I need to know to help the clients coming to me, because I truly believe that the people who come to me are coming to me for what I know and where I've been, and whatever I know and do in the future, new people will come to me who need that. So I feel very much in alignment in that way.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's so important to remember. So, you know, overcoming your doubt with like, you know what you know right now, and that's enough for right now, because the universe is out there for us to learn about, right? And that makes kind of nice too, is that you don't have to know everything right now. And I really love what you just said there too, is to remind ourselves is that at each level, you are an expert for someone else. Mm-hmm. Like someone who hasn't gone that far into their journey, someone who's new to it. And then at the next level, you'll get the next flood of people. Mm-hmm. And so it's an evolving, evolving organism, I almost want to call it. And I think it's important to remind yourself of that in your business, is that your business isn't something static. Again, we are entrepreneurs, and things grow, things change, markets change, etc. And the best you can do is prepare yourself for anything. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing, Kristen, by just continually focusing on your expertise and making sure that you stay familiar with the material, which, by the way, if you are looking for a coach, always ask that question, like, what are your certifications? Like, how often do you go for, seminars or etc. Because it is very important for you, for your coach to be this learning person. Because as Kristen said, you're only going to go as far as your coach has gone. Then you're going to outgrow your coach. So if you are making these longer investments that most coaches are asking you to do, like 6 to 1 year investments, then make sure that your coach is going to be able to be a step ahead of you the whole time to help you and support you. The next thing I want to dive into with you is the rebranding that you did, because you went from KD Media and you still run that on a very small scale, and then, all I know about you by this point is like Thrive by Food, right? Mm-hmm. And so that in itself is such a great branding that you did there, because I no longer think of you as the marketing expert per se that I used to when I first met you. You have switched in my mind to, okay, this is the health coach that I'll be referring people to. So what are the tips that you have for people who are going through a similar thing where maybe their pivot isn't as big, but they are making these changes in their businesses? How would you go about in doing that? What would your top tips be?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's recognizing that you are the brand if you're going to be the head of the company, if you want to be that brand. So for me, like for KD Media, I was, I did have a team of contractors under me, but I was the main person that people came to. And now for Thrive by Food, like it's just me right now. And I realized that, it's just me at the end of the day. So I can change the way that I talk about what I'm doing and what I stand for and what I'm excited about. And that over time will help people understand the new story. And so basically what I did when, I really didn't, I guess, talk too much on social media besides maybe on LinkedIn and Twitter, about, my marketing career. I wasn't really avidly on Facebook and stuff like I am today, kind of talking about it, because it just wasn't something that I really, cared to share with my friends and family as much. But then I decided that when I made the shift into Thrive by Food, that was something that there was an even deeper story about, and that I actually had even more branding opportunity too. So the more closely I was tied to the business, the more ideas I had that I could come out about it. So I started getting more active on Facebook, and then, I have an Instagram channel, and I'm doing a little bit on LinkedIn. I don't do Twitter. And then obviously my blog and email and stuff. And I basically just opened up about my story. Hey guys, this is kind of what's happened to me in the past couple of years. I I've been in the ER before. I was facing serious surgery. I wanted to, fake an injury some days because I couldn't get out of bed. I was so tired and in so much pain, and just kind of let people know, like, this was kind of going on this entire time that I was running this other business. I just wasn't talking about it. So I'm just bringing this to light now that, like, this is my new thing, and let people kind of know, like, here's where I'm coming from. And then once I, started the business, hey, this is actually what I'm helping people do now because I'm on the other end of it, and these are my certifications and all of that. So I just kind of told that story so people could understand that transition. And then, I really just made everything, any communication that came out of me digitally was about Thrive by Food or my own journey. But I feel like anytime I post about my own personal experience with this stuff, that's when things really kind of pick up for me. Like last November, I posted on Instagram a picture of me in a hospital bed after I'd gotten cleared from my ulcerative colitis completely. My doctors had told me if I didn't tell them I had ulcerative colitis, they would have never known. And that's a disease you're supposed to have the rest of your life. And technically I do still have it, but there's no signs of it. And I posted that. I was still like half out of it because they put you to sleep for that procedure. And I just like posted this thing. Don't even really remember typing it on my phone. And it got like, I don't know, 1,500 likes, like 500 or 600 comments. Like it just went literally viral, and that like kicked off my business essentially. And that's when I realized like people want to hear that story. They want to know what you're all about, where you've come from, and what you do now. So I just kind of like bridged that gap and just opened up and told that story.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so I love what you're saying because it's all about the story. And I think there's nothing wrong with announcing to your audience that things are changing, things are shifting. In fact, like it's better to be open about it. Mm-hmm. It's better to tell them what's going on behind the scenes, keep them engaged because that's how you draw them in. And then the other thing that I love about what you're saying is Kristen's not just telling a story. Like I see it so often with entrepreneurs who are doing these quick, like, 5 steps or the, rags to riches in 3 days, where there's no depth to the story that they're really telling. Like that story, yeah, the story is there and they're kind of throwing it in, but if you start to scratch, then there's no real depth to it. And everybody can feel that, right? I feel like Kristen's story is so powerful because it is so personal and she is willing to just put it out there. A lot of people that I know don't speak about the fact that they have digestive health issues. And so here you are and you become a voice for those people. And I know I can also say every single time when I'm really honest about what's going on, then people really tend to pull into you, right? And so make sure that that story that you're telling is really, it resonates even with you. Like, so that you're not just, because again, like, I think in the marketing world, it will say, oh, you need to have a story. There needs to be a story about you. And then you're like, okay, check, got the story. What's the next point, right? Sit with that story. What is that story? And tell it, because people think in stories. We love hearing stories. Think about that. And then B, I just like getting to know people on that level. I'm a connection person. I want to go deep with people. And so that's what most people want today, right? Is more depth and connection. So, love that. Thank you, Kristen. So, you've now been moving away from your traditional marketing business and playbooks to run Thrive by Food. And like we've said, like Kristen's really shot this puppy up very quickly and it's going so well for her. So how are you instead running the show and coming up with all of your business ideas versus what it used to be?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like kind of coming from my marketing business that there were all these like templates and playbooks and strategies that you have to do in certain order in order to see that growth. And I followed that for a while. I was like, all right, cool, like this is how you have to do a launch, this is how you do that and the other thing. And it just wasn't sitting well with me. Like I started to realize I would like dread doing launches, and I would I just like didn't feel like my energy was behind anything I was doing, just because it just felt like I was doing something just because someone else told me to. And like you said earlier, when you own your own business, like nobody else calls the shots. Like you're the one who does that. So I realized like I'm currently launching a program right now, and like I did not want to launch it the typical way that, other books or templates or, experts in the space say you have to do. I didn't do it that way. I just genuinely came out with, here's what it is, like, here's why it means something to me. And I've just been posting kind of stories about it. And, one of sort of the, I guess, sparks to doing it that way was, it was back in early spring. I had bought a copywriting course on like how to launch a program, and it was like it guaranteed that you would get 10x sales from doing it. And they basically give you all these like templates of like, here's how you should structure your emails and your social media posts and all this stuff. And I literally like copied it verbatim. I got more email unsubscribes than I'd ever gotten from any emails before. Like, I was losing like 50 people per email send, and I was like, this is not okay. And the wording just didn't feel like me, and I just felt like slimy doing it. And like, it was the worst launch I had ever had. I had amazing people sign up for it, but it was less than I'd ever had before. So it was not 10x. It was negative what I had before. And so I contacted the company. I was like, I'm sorry, like, this is terrible. Like, I'm out. Can I please have a refund? Like, this is not 10x. So at that point I was like, you know what, forget these things. Like, I'm never buying one of these courses again. Like, I need to just kind of tap into what makes sense to me. And so, when I created the course that I'm launching right now, I just generally was like, what excites me about it? Like, what stories do I want to tell around it? And, what seems fun to me? Like, what brings me energy when I talk about this stuff? And it hasn't been like, hardcore like sales emails or, pitches on social media. Like, it's just storytelling, and that's what I love. And, I haven't been putting like tons of pressure on myself about it. And I've just been kind of leading with like yesterday morning, I woke up and I was like, what emails would be fun for me to write today around this launch? And let me just kind of tell stories around it. And I came out with one of them this morning. And that's all it's been. And I've had more responses come in from that, and maybe one unsubscribe per email send. And I have a much bigger email list now. So it's been going really well. So I've just, been looking inwards versus looking outwards.
I love that. I love that. Everything you say right now is just like, this is what I'm all about. And because I did exactly the same. I did a launch last year. I followed an exact like blueprint of what you're supposed to do for a launch. It sucked. And it didn't work. And not that it's good to kind of know how those things work, but I do think what Kristen's saying there is like, please, 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 when you look at these things, like, take from it what is resonating with you. Like, take from it what's really working for you and only use that. There are no blueprints, there are no plug and plays, because as soon as you do that, like Kristen just said, then people unsubscribe. They stop listening to you, and you become a watered down copy of everybody else. And again, I'm going to say the line again, we are entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs disrupt the market, guys. We're not other people's copycats. Yes. We're way better and way more intelligent than that. So I love that. Okay, so I want to know about this program that you are now launching. And I think it's called the Rise to Thrive Master Group, correct?
Yes.
And it starts in September. Know a little bit about it. Tell me more. Like, what can people expect? Who is it for? Anything you want to share with us?
Yeah. So this is a women's only 6-month-long program that is addressing the physical and mental side of health. So really bridging together that mind-body connection. For the reason being, again, this is a journey that I've been through personally, and I've coached tons and tons of clients on this. It's that you can't be physically well if your mind isn't in it, if you're, bashing yourself with negative thoughts, or if you're doubting everything that you're doing, or if you have old stories running in your mind, or you're suffering from a past trauma you've never addressed, or you're allowing yourself to be crazy stressed every single day, like, that's going to work against you. So I realized that, like, we can eat the best diets in the world, take the best supplements in the world, do all the yoga we want, but if our mindset isn't there, or we're just letting stress run the show, our bodies, like, actually can't heal, because we're kind of staying stuck in that fight and flight mode. And our bodies can only heal in the rest and digest mode. So that's literally a function of your central nervous system and how we are kind of wiring it. And so once we can shift our bodies more into that rest and digest state, not only can you improve your digestion, but your body can actually slow down and rest and repair itself at a cellular layer, which is where you actually start to boost your hormone function, your thyroid function, your digestion, all of that stuff. So this program is really kind of going to be a deep dive experience. Only 10 women are going to be allowed into the program. So it's going to be very exclusive, very like deep hotspot coaching. Twice a month, we're going to hop on calls. They're going to be like an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on how much, support everyone needs. Everyone gets their own hotspot coaching in terms of what they're working on. There's options to get some additional one-on-one sessions with me, run some lab work, talk about customizing your diet, supplements, all that good stuff. You get access to my other programs in this course. So really it's just kind of a deep dive. Like, let's kind of look at everything that's going on for you, all the factors that could influence your health, things you might not have thought about in your health journey that you're potentially missing that's causing you to not be able to move things forward. And like, let's just like look that stress in the eye. Let's look at those other blockers and just kind of figure out how we can address them so that you can live life in flow and feel better and like actually feel better physically too.
I love that. And this sounds like just the most amazing course ever, because I do think there is this, we want to compartmentalize everything in life, like our personalities at work and at home. Our, health is just this little box, and our mind is this other little box, and our friendships is another little box. And it doesn't work that way. We are whole human beings. And everything influences, in the end of the day, your health, your well-being. So this sounds like an incredible group program for sure. If you want to get in touch with Kristen, where can people find you, Kristen?
Yeah, my website is thrivebyfood.com. I'm on Instagram, which is thrivebyfood. That's where I'm most active. And then on my website, you can find more information about my programs. I have a private Facebook group that's linked on there as well. So you can find me almost anywhere. You can find me on Facebook if you want. I'm pretty active there too, and love to connect with people.
Love it. And I'm sure we'll also connect. Like, you can either comment in the comments and drop your thing, or I can do it too. It doesn't matter. But we will make sure that you know where Kristen lives, and so that you can really get a hold of her. But Kristen, thank you so much for your time today. I had such a good time doing this. I hope the audience enjoyed it. And yeah, just thank you so much for sharing with us.
Yeah. It's been fun.
All right.